What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about a topic that I've actually wanted to make a video on for a while, and I figured today would be the perfect day to talk about it because I don't really have much else to talk about, and that's the topic about Pokemon sprites and Pokemon 3D models. Now, if you're pretty involved with the Pokemon community online, whether it's on YouTube or Twitter or Discord, then I'm sure by now you've heard many people use the phrasing that like 3D models killed Pokemon or sprites are better than 3D models. And I've seen this topic thrown around many times as well, but I decided to finally just kind of sit down and think about it and really kind of understand why there are some people who may feel like sprites are better than 3D models, or why some people don't really feel so good about the 3D models that we have in current Pokemon games. I really wanted to see for myself while doing all of this research if there really was some reasoning as to why people felt this way, or if it was just kind of a lot of nostalgia, because obviously a lot of people grew up with these older Pokemon games like Pokemon Emerald and Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, or Diamond and Pearl, or Black and White, and of course all of these games used like these sprites back in the day, so I thought maybe it was just like a nostalgia thing as well, or maybe we were all just so nostalgic for these sprites because we've seen them in our childhood and we grew up with them, and that's why we kind of just feel that they're better. But I don't know, I feel like after looking through all of this, I can kind of understand why there are some people that do feel that sprites were a better representation for Pokemon. Now real quick before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that I'm actually moving all of my live stream content over onto Twitch now, so if you haven't followed me on twitch.tv/Aero, I would really appreciate it if you could go and give me a follow. It only takes a couple seconds. I'll have a link to it in the description, and I'll also make it the pinned comment. That's pretty much where we're going to be playing all of our games now. If I'm playing like Smash Bros or Mario Kart with you guys, if we're playing a game for the first time, and even the Nintendo Night podcast that I do every month with my friends Ruffled Rowlet and Endgame the Cube and all of them, that's all going to be on Twitch as well, so definitely be sure to go and give me a follow. Now on the topic of Pokemon sprites and 3D models, the first thing that I do want to say is that I do feel like it was the correct decision for the Pokemon Company and Game Freak to want to move into 3D. I know there's some people that like to say that like Pokemon should have always just stayed sprite based and it should have always just been 2D, and don't get me wrong, there are very pretty games out there that use like that sprite aesthetic, like Octopath Traveler. There was that new game that was revealed in the last Nintendo Direct, it's called Project Triangle Strategy. Those games also use like that sprite aesthetic and look really pretty, so I'm sure that Pokemon could still use like that similar art style and look very pretty, but I don't think that that's really the thing here that's kind of like the root of the issue that people have. I don't think that moving into 3D was an issue. I feel like that it makes perfect sense that we've always had Pokemon on these handheld systems with the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance and the Nintendo DS, which has always been using these sprite-based graphics, to finally have the Nintendo 3DS, which is a handheld that's powerful enough to be able to enable the entire game to be in a 3D type of atmosphere. I think that it makes total sense that they would want to take Pokemon to the next level. In fact, there was actually a time where every single Pokemon fan was super excited for Pokemon 3D models and the fact that Pokemon was going into 3D, and of course you know what I'm talking about, the hype cycle for Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. When Pokemon X and Y were revealed for the first time, pretty much every single Pokemon fan, myself, you, and everybody else was super excited to see that Pokemon was evolving into the next level and that we were going to be getting 3D Pokemon and 3D environments. Just seeing the very first trailer for Pokemon X and Y felt so hype because we were seeing all these old Pokemon now in full 3D with their entire models, and I remember seeing like that very first trailer when they showed off like Dratini and Psyduck and Kirlia, and I was like, wow, these are like the favorite Pokemon that I really loved from the original games, but now we can see them in full 3D. Literally everybody was excited. I don't think that there was a single person when that initial trailer dropped for Pokemon X and Y, and pretty much throughout the entire X and Y hype cycle, I don't think that there was any person who was like, dude, these 3D models don't look good, they should have just stuck to sprites like what they had with Pokemon in the past. And so what happened? If we were also excited about 3D models with Pokemon X and Y, how come nowadays we see so many people who are saying that 3D models really aren't that exciting and they're not that good, and that sprite-based Pokemon games were much better? And so after reading a lot of thoughts online and talking to people who feel this way, I've basically come to 3 big reasons as to why people felt that the sprite-based Pokemon games were a much better representation than the 3D models that we have now. The first thing that I've heard some people talk about is actually the saturation and the coloring of the 3D models. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys have noticed this, but the 3D models that we have now in current Pokemon games, ever since Pokemon X and Y introduced them, seem to have some washed out colors in terms of like how they look compared to the original sprites that we used to have for these Pokemon in the past. Now, I'll have some comparisons on this page while I'm talking about this, but you can definitely see here while I'm scrolling down on this page here that the colors that we have for the 3D models compared to like the original colors for these Pokemon with their sprites are definitely much more softer and kind of washed out compared to what we used to have. And you can definitely see here for like Toxicroak and Starmie and Parasect and Swampert that these colors are definitely much lighter and washed out. And we actually got an official answer from Mr. Masuda as for the reason that they went with this. And so Mr. Masuda said that the kind of expression that we wanted to achieve at Game Freak with the 3D models was to really make it look like the official 2D artwork we put out, that our art director Ken Sugimori designs. It has this softer, warmer feel to it, and we felt that this was the first time that the hardware was really able to accommodate that expression that we wanted to achieve. And so that's the reasoning that they gave. Basically, they wanted to make the 3D model similar to the original Ken Sugimori artwork, which uses the washed out colors, and so that's why they went with that approach. Now, I don't know about you guys, but personally, I was like a much bigger fan of having like the more saturated and vibrant, vivid colors than compared to like the washed out colors that we get now, but I guess it just comes down to preference, so let me know how you guys feel about them. Do you guys like the washed out colors that we have now, or did you guys like the more vibrant colors that we had with the sprites in the past? I'm curious to see how you guys feel about this as well, so definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. The second big reason that I've seen a lot of people bring up as to why they prefer sprites over 3D models is personality. Pokemon sprites in the past were really able to convey a lot of personality. You could tell if a Pokemon was like a strong, threatening Pokemon, or if some Pokemon was supposed to be goofy, or if a Pokemon was supposed to be very serious. It was kind of really easy to tell. The thing with the 3D models is that a lot of these 3D models look so similar in terms of like their animations and how they move that it doesn't really give off that same type of vibe. One of the examples that I like to use with this is Politoed, where if we take a look at the original Politoed sprite where it was hopping around, it definitely had a lot of personality to it, but now if we take a look at the 3D model for Politoed that we have now, it's just kind of standing there swaying back and forth and barely has any expression. And so many Pokemon are very similar to this. Pretty much every Pokemon that's on 4 legs just kind of sways there back and forth. Every single bird Pokemon is just flapping its wings. They all look so generic. And that's why this can feel kind of weird, because if we take a look at some strong and powerful Pokemon like Lugia, for example, Lugia is supposed to be like an epic and powerful Pokemon, and we can definitely tell that with like the way that these sprites were designed. Like Lugia looks really epic in terms of these Pokemon sprites, but now if we take a look at the 3D model for Lugia, just look at it. It's kind of just flapping its wings. You're telling me this is supposed to be like this epic Pokemon that we used to have with this sprite? It just doesn't feel the same anymore. Even a Pokemon like Mewtwo, for example, all of the sprites that we had for Mewtwo look super epic and badass, but now the 3D model that we have is kind of just standing there, swaying back and forth, and it just doesn't feel really epic or threatening at all. It just looks kind of weird. And of course, for some Pokemon, the entire transition from 2D into 3D just wasn't really that good either. Of course, one of the Pokemon that a lot of people like to bring up is Electros. Electros looked pretty cool back in the Gen 5 games, but now with the 3D model, it just looks really kind of weird and out of place. It's just like really like kind of flaying back and forth there. It just looks really unusual, and it just doesn't fit like the Pokemon at all anymore. Another one that people like to say is Typhlosion. Typhlosion always looks so epic in the sprites with like the fire around its neck, and now it just looks really weird with the 3D models. And like it just kind of has some fire when it attacks. It just doesn't really fit like how the Pokemon used to look like in the past. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that all 3D models are bad. There are definitely some 3D models for Pokemon like Ludicolo, which still really give it like that same exact type of feel that I feel like would match the personality of Ludicolo, but compared to the amount of Pokemon that just all look so generic and similar to each other, there's only a couple that stand out like Ludicolo, which is really why a lot of people feel like that the sprites were kind of better, because for sprites, pretty much every single Pokemon just had its own unique flair and personality to it, and a lot of people just don't really feel that way with the 3D models. And finally, the biggest reason for why people prefer sprites over 3D models is because of the updates and freshness that happened with them. One of the coolest parts about the older Pokemon games was whenever there was a brand new Pokemon game that came out, there was always an entire new collection of sprites that came with all of our favorite Pokemon, and it was always fun to just get your favorite Pokemon and see what the new sprite of it was gonna look like, and that's what like was so refreshing to see whenever you played a brand new game, and that was the case even if the game was within the same exact generation. Like the sprites that we got in Pokemon Platinum looked different than the sprites that we had in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. It actually just felt refreshing to see Lucario look really angry and pissed off in Diamond and Pearl, and then see Lucario look super badass with its knee down in Pokemon Platinum. It just felt so refreshing to see an entire new collection of sprites whenever you got a brand new Pokemon game, because the game could be very similar to the original too, but it just felt newer because you got to see new versions of all the sprites. Like Pokemon Emerald was still pretty similar to Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, Platinum was still very similar to Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, but it still felt newer and it felt more different just because of the fact that the sprites and the Pokemon all look different. And that's where we have the issue with the 3D models in the current Pokemon games, because they've always looked the same ever since they were first introduced. If we take a look at a Pokemon like Pikachu, for example, this is the evolution of all the sprites that Pikachu has had throughout all the different Pokemon games. You can see that it's changed so much. There's so many different versions of the sprites that we've had for Pikachu throughout the years. Now here's what Pikachu looks like in every Pokemon game ever since we've moved to 3D. You can see that it looks like this in 2013 with X and Y, it looks exactly like that in 2014 with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, exactly the same in 2016 with Pokemon Sun and Moon, exactly the same in 2017 with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, exactly the same in 2018 with Let's Go, and also the same with 2019 with Pokemon Sword and Shield. And now you can understand why there's people that aren't really big fans of the 3D models, because they've always looked the exact same ever since their first introduction with Pokemon X and Y, and sure, they look a little crispier now with Pokemon Sword and Shield because they're in HD, they still have the exact same poses and animations that they've had for 8 years ever since Pokemon X and Y. And obviously it is much easier to redesign a sprite compared to an entire 3D model, but if that's the direction that Pokemon wants to go, where you want to take your games into the full entire 3D level, then that's what you gotta do. And I mean, it's kind of easier now because you're not even doing all of the Pokemon, you're cutting Pokemon from the games, you're not even putting all of them in, so it shouldn't be that hard to do if you only have a limited number of Pokemon in the first place. But that's pretty much what they really gotta do now if they want to keep the 3D models, is to make them look a little bit newer and have some changes to them to keep them fresh, because right now these are the exact same models and the exact same looks to them that we had in 2013, and it's just getting old to see them. That's why we were so excited, because for the first time when we got to see them with Pokemon X and Y in 2013, it felt hype and exciting, but now it's just like, this is what Mewtwo has always looked like for the past 8 years, and it's just getting pretty tiring. Can you imagine if they actually did some updates with the 3D games, where like in one game, for example, Conkeldurr would look like this, but maybe in like the next Pokemon game that came out with the next generation, we see Conkeldurr standing but one of its pillars is like knocked on the ground or something. It would just look much more fresh and newer, and people would be pretty excited to see the new model of Conkeldurr. But because it's always looked like this ever since Pokemon X and Y, it's just getting tiring to see them, especially because Pokemon battles are such an important part of Pokemon games. Pokemon battles are like the fundamental part of the Pokemon experience, but it just doesn't feel the same when all the models are like the exact same as they looked in 2013, all the attack animations look the exact same, all the move animations look the exact same. It just feels kind of very bland and stale because we've already been so used to it for so many years. But in the past, every time there was a brand new Pokemon game, we always got a collection of new sprites, and there were even new attack animations as well. Like Flamethrower looks much different in Pokemon Emerald than how it does in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and it just felt cool to look at all the new attack animations and how these moves look, but now they're all being reused from Pokemon X and Y and have pretty much looked the exact same since 2013. And so yeah, there you go guys, that is the entire discussion about Pokemon sprites and 3D models. If you guys enjoyed this video, then definitely be sure to click that like button and also comment down below. Let me know how you guys feel about this. How do you guys feel about this whole discussion? Do you guys like sprites more? Do you guys like 3D models more? Were you guys able to understand some of the reasoning that I gave in this video? I'm also going to have a little poll in the corner. If you tap on like the little eye in the corner right now, I'm going to ask you guys if you prefer sprites or 3D models. I think it would be kind of interesting to see how you guys feel about it, so definitely be sure to partake in that little poll as well. But definitely comment down below. Let me know how you guys feel about this. Do you guys like the sprites more, 3D models more? Do you guys understand the reasoning? How do you guys feel that Pokemon should go about it? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Pokemon content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.